All right, so this is the very first part of my series, this kind of documentary following my process and progress in drawing out my diagrams, and in particular, what I call diagrammatic number 23. And this will focus primarily on a text by a Christian author slash monk scholar from the 4th century. His name is Evagrius the Solitary, and he wrote 153 texts on prayer, which is found in this book, Philokalia, and this is volume 1. I just want to read real quick a short, like 2 or 3 sentence summary of who Evagrius the Solitary is, and this is from Patristic Nectar Publications, which is a Eastern Orthodox ministry. And so here, let me read this. Evagrius the Solitary. On Prayer, 153 Texts is a seminal work by Evagrius the Solitary, sometimes known as Evagrius Ponticus. He was a disciple of the Cappadocian Fathers, ordained reader by St. Basil the Great, and deacon by St. Gregory the Theologian. He became a monk of the Egyptian desert and is the most prolific author of the Desert Fathers. He exercised a tremendous influence on both Eastern and Western monasticism, and 4 of his writings were included by the Holy Fathers in the first volume of the Philokalia, which is where I heard of him. And as I was reading through that text, the 153 texts, I was really fascinated by what he was saying and communicating about the role of, the different parts of who we are, our mind, our spirit, our soul, our imagination when it comes to prayer. So I thought this would be a great meditation for me personally, and also a good subject matter for this artwork. So what I'm going to do is switch the camera around, give you an angle of what I'm working on, and explain how I'm creating this, and you'll see the first step in what will be a pretty involved piece of artwork. So, all right, let me switch this around for you. Okay, we have here the beginnings of diagrammatics number 23, and in an ideal situation, I would have had a blank piece of paper here and we would have started from scratch, but I had already began this work before coming to the decision to do this as a kind of documentary style. So I'll use the first couple of videos just to catch you up to where I'm at with this here. But I may be able to say enough in this video to where we can just next video start where I picked up here or where I've left off here. But anyways, so as you can see, I've already got some shapes and numbers and lines here, and let me just give you a brief overview of what I've done here. So up top here, what you have is a circle, and it's just real sketchy, because what I'm doing here is just kind of laying out where everything's going to go, and then after that I go into the computer and actually redraw it with very clean lines and shapes and all that kind of thing. So this is just mainly to figure out where everything is compositionally and that kind of thing. So anyways, like I was saying, I always represent God in this way, with this circle and then 3 circles and then a triangle. So this would be, and I'm creating this from a Christian perspective. So when we refer to God, he is always referred to as a he and also as a Trinity. So you have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is usually how I'll do it. Then the triangle is just a very crude and semi-heretical way of indicating the Trinity, because you can never represent the Trinity in a substantial way visually. It's impossible, but for the sake of what we're doing here, I just do that to show that there are 3 persons in one God. They're all united together. So yes, so I'll start with that, and then down here what I'll have is another circle, and this will represent the person. So whether it's you or me or anyone, the person praying. And the person, I usually start with just a solid outside line, And we could do S for maybe subject or person, or however we want to do it. Actually, yeah, let's do, we'll just do P for person, and big G for God there. And then I usually do a dotted line, and the dotted line will represent, the solid line, we'll do maybe a B, that's for the body, the physical body. The dotted line, that will be an I for the intellect or the mind, and then another even lighter dotted line, and that will be for the soul or the spirit. And so in this, and as we get into the text, it'll make more sense, but I have this circle here in the middle, and basically what I'm doing, and as you'll see, there's lines connecting these two circles here. What I'm saying is, because Evagria starts with a lot of focus on the intellect, I'm bringing the intellect up here as kind of a middle ground meeting place with God and in prayer. So that's why I've done that. And so then you have these lines coming down to show God is coming down here, man's intellect is coming up here, and this is kind of the middle ground part where they're meeting in prayer. So these other lines here we'll get into as I go through each step. So from this point, what I do is I go to his actual text on prayer. And in the beginning, there's a lot of this kind of number diagrams, and really it's just showing why he came to the number 153. It's not really relevant to what I'm doing, so I'm not going to focus on that. Instead, I start down here at his number 1 statement, and it says, should one wish to make incense, one will mingle according to the law, fragrant gum, cassia, I think, aromatic shell, and myrrh in equal amounts. I cross-reference Exodus 30:34. These are the 4 virtues. With their full and balanced development, the intellect will be safe from betrayal. So he starts off, as I mentioned before, intellect, and then the other part is the incense. Okay, so that's the first text. And so what I do here, as I go back to my drawing, you have God and you have man, or this person. So I drew a box. You see the box here and the number 1. So the number 1 is indicating that's text number 1. So what I do over here is on another separate piece of paper, I'll write out lines that kind of help me understand what's going on in the drawing, put a number beside each one. Incense, I didn't mark down, is number 1. So he also says in there that there's 4 parts. So gum, cassia, aromatic shell, and myrrh. So one thing I might do just to represent those is maybe put 4 boxes down here in some way, which would represent the gum. So that's G, the cassia, the aromatic shell, and the myrrh. Something to that effect. And then over on my other piece of paper, I'll indicate which each one of those means. These are the 4 virtues together that are lifting up this incense to God. And throughout the Bible, incense is often used as a way of representing our prayers ascending up before God. You also see this with the smoke from the sacrifices that are being burned off and that kind of thing. There's reference in Revelation as well to the bowl of incense representing the prayers of the saints and things like that. So incense is a very important part of worship, and so he's starting here, I think appropriately, with the primary element of prayer being incense. So that's where we're going to begin too. So I did a box here as a way to represent this whole act of prayer is being covered in and represented by incense, and is something that is common to both God and man in this interaction of prayer. So that's the first step, and I'll go into each following one each following step as I do these videos. We'll go into step 2, 3, and 4, and so on, and I'll show how all this fits together. And this is just the preliminary sketch. As I said before, it's small, to the point. And then what I'll do later after I finish the rest, I'll go back into the computer and actually draw them out on there and print them on acetate, and then they'll be mounted on plexiglass, which you'll see more of a detailed look on that when we get to that point way down the road. So that's just a quick intro on this diagrammatic number 23, and I will continue with more of this development in the next video. Thanks. All right, so there you have it. That was step 1 of diagrammatic number 23, and I will be posting videos probably every day or every couple days as I go through each of the texts and each of the steps. So if you're interested, you can check all of this out. I'll be posting it on my website, beautiful.imaginarium.com, or on my YouTube channel, A Beautiful Imaginary, and Facebook and social and all that as well. So thanks for checking out my work, and I'd love to hear from you, and I'll have more videos up soon.